So last night I finished For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway, and it was pretty good. The premise is in the midst of the Spanish Civil War, you have this American partisan who is joined on the side of the Republicans, and he is there to bomb a bridge. And he's comes in, he's strictly about his business. Um, he's has communist ideologies, and he has no time for anything else, just what he's there to do. And so throughout the novel, he like falls in love with this girl and kind of loses his politics. He kind of really doesn't necessarily believe so much in the war. He kind of starts to look at himself like obviously an outsider, like he's basically a mercenary there to kill Spanish people in their homeland for his political ideologies. So it's just like a war book. It's a war novel, and I think it was pretty good. He has this guide, his guide through he's staying with these Republican communist Republicans, but yeah, but that's what it is. And they're like living in this cave in the mountains. So his guide through there is this old man named Anselmo, and Anselmo is a hunter. He doesn't believe in killing men. He's not necessarily religious because they've kind of like abolished God on their side. The Republican side is the communists, the socialists, and the Democratic Republicans. The other side is the nationalist side, the fascist side. So that's like the monarchy, the church, and Franco's fascist party. So anyways, Anselmo doesn't really believe in killing men. He still believes it's a sin, even though he doesn't necessarily believe in God anymore. But so he struggles with the killing. It's not right for him. And it goes through in the different characters and kind of their different positions. When he first gets to the camp, the leader's name is Pablo. And Pablo was like a real savage guerrilla fighter at the beginning of the war. He comes from this small village where whenever the revolution happened, they killed a bunch of the fascists in their village. So his woman Pilar is telling the story, and she's like, "Have you ever seen the revolution happen in a small town?" And Robert's like, "No, he's from America," but she's like, "It's brutal. This is what happens. Everybody knows everybody. So everybody knows everybody. So these are not just faceless fascists or communists that are killing each other. These are your friends and neighbors. These are the people that you grew up and went to school and went to church with. So, and not all of them were really fascist." At one point, somebody asks Robert, like, "How many men have you killed in this war?" He's like, "More than 20. And he's like, "How many of them were actual fascists?" He was like, "Maybe 2. So it kind of goes into the ugly side of war and how nobody's exactly fighting and killing for what exactly they believe in. They start out that way, but they either become cynical or they give up their politics, or like that's what happened to Pablo. Like he started out as a really savage guerrilla fighter for the communists, and at the end of it, he doesn't want to be hunted anymore. He doesn't want to be killing his countrymen. At one point, it talks about when he had to kill the priest, and he had wanted to kill the priest, like he had waited for that. And so when it happened, he was completely disillusioned with the killing because he's like, well, I expected the priest to die with some dignity. Like I guess he expected the earth to open up and swallow him and the clouds to part and to watch him give up the ghost. But it didn't. He just died like any other man. And what struck him was that it was a Spanish priest and he died with no dignity. And he looked at his countrymen differently. Like he was a Spanish priest. Like he should have, this should have been different. Like he should have, you know, said 10 Our Fathers and 10 Hail Marys and died like a Spanish man would have died. But he didn't. He was clubbed to death in the church. So, and he died in fear and trembling. So anyways, and it also goes into the aspects of, you know, kind of the lies that they had to deal with. All these peasant leaders rose up, and then for some reason, somehow, these peasant leaders speak Russian and they're well versed in all the communist ideologies. So it's basically saying how none of it was really organic. And then there's a lot of Russian leaders who are in Spain, and they live in these really nice hotels, really luxurious lifestyles, even though they're communists. And so, yeah, they're fighting for the republic. And at one point, they're like, Anselmo, he's like, once this revolution is over, like, we're going to get rid of all these damn communists and socialists, and we're just going to have our pure republic. And Pablo's like, it's never going to happen. Like, we should have killed all of the fascists or none at all, because now our homeland, our Spain, is just saturated in blood. And at this point, nobody really knows who's fighting. It's just all the young men from the villages are out here killing each other for outside influences, for somebody else's cause. When really, it might help to do a little bit of research on the Spanish Civil War, but I think you can still understand it regardless. Just understand it's peasants versus property owners versus the church and the monarchy and the wealthy elements in society. So yeah, they just wanted their land. And but anyways, it was a good book. I recommend it. For Whom the Bell Tolls. It got a little bit slow in some parts, it got a little bit boring in some parts, but it was worth the read.